Hi guys, it's Sam and today we're filming the eyeshadow palette tag part 1 and then I will be filming part 2 to follow. This was a tag created by Samantha March and Ali Gines last year and I really wanted to join in when they did it last year, but I just didn't make the time, sadly. But I wanted to hop on and join in on the action this year, so I'm going to be doing part 1 and part 2. So if you're new to my channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you can come back and see part 2. And yeah, let's get started. So the newest palette to my collection right now is the Pat McGrath Mothership Diamond of the First Water Bridgerton collection. This is the most recent palette that I have purchased. No, I'm a liar. I thought this was the most recent one, but you know what? I actually think it was this Colourpop All Amethyst palette. Yes, which I am wearing today. This is an okay palette. I don't think that it's something I would recommend that you guys run out and purchase. I think some of the other monochromatic palettes that Colourpop has are better, but yeah, I do like the packaging better on this though. I like the cardboard packaging, but that's about it. That's all I gotta say. that's all she wrote. So my oldest palette I'm gonna go with, because I couldn't decide if it was my Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette or this one, but I actually think it was this one. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette. It is one of my favorite palettes, so she is well loved, as you can see here. I don't have a problem with the quality of this palette, and I just think the colors and the tones are absolutely stunning. So yeah, this is sticking around for the long haul. It doesn't work weird or anything. Like, I literally used this last week, so yeah, she's still kicking around. The next one is the most expensive palette, and it is the Natasha Denona Star palette. I picked this up on her Christmas sale, so I didn't pay full price, but technically her value is still up there. I think it's like $169 for this palette, and she is really cute. I do like this palette a lot. I do feel like this shade here was the one I was most excited to use, but kind of the most disappointing. It's more metallic and less shimmery, sparkly, should I say. So I mean, it's not really the shadow that's poor, it's just my expectation. I thought it was going to be a little bit more shimmery, but it is beautiful. The mattes are gorgeous, and I especially love this like bronzy shade right here in the corner. Absolutely stunning. My most affordable palettes are these Essence 6 pan. I have a whole bunch of them. I have 5. So I was gonna think like it was the elf ones or the little Wet and Wild ones, but I decluttered those after I did my eyeshadow collection palette video because they're not like my favorite by any means. But I did keep all 5 of these. You've probably already seen these a million times on the internet, but this one is the mauve one. We have Dancing Green, Bronzed This Way, Taupe It Up, which is more like a silver than a taupe, and then Coral Me Baby. Those retail for about $3.99, and I feel like some of them were like $2.99 at Ulta, so I'm not really sure. Like, the pricing on those were kind of inconsistent when they first came out. The next category was your everyday palette, and I feel like this is very subjective because everybody's everyday palette is completely different. If you went to Annette's makeup corner and asked her what her everyday palette is, she's probably going to pick out something completely colorful, rainbow, or just like, you know, fun. And then you'll ask somebody else and they're going to tell you like the Natasha Denona Glam palette, it's like all bronze or all silver or whatever, like something very simple. So for me personally, I want something for everyday use that's easy, has neutrals, but also has colors of interest. So I went with the Natasha Denona Zendo palette. This was my favorite palette for 2021 as well. And the reason why is because they have neutrals, but it has pops of colors. It has the red and the warm shades. It has these murky greens here, and they have like these teals. So it's a little bit more interesting than just like a normal brown gold palette. So I do really love this palette. I think it is very wearable, and I feel like it's very grown up. The shimmers in here are not crazy sparkly or metallic. They're just really subtle and beautiful and very easy to use for every day. The next category is my largest palette. So my largest palette is the Beauty Bay and Jade collaboration. It's a 42 pan eyeshadow palette. The close runner-ups would be my 2BH holiday palettes, and then possibly my Carnival Be Perfect. I think I have the third one. But this one is still larger than all of them, and it is my most colorful palette. Oh, you know what? The category was most colorful palette. So this is it. Yeah, this has the most color. It has every color in the rainbow that you could want to use. And yeah, the smallest palette I have is this little bento, I think that's what they're called, bento eyeshadow thing from Kaja. It is the Toasted Caramel, and it has like this shimmer shade. It has 3 shades in there. It's like a bronze and then like a chocolate brown. It's all shimmer. Super cute. This is like for the basic bitch day, you know what I mean? Like you just want to do something real simple. This is definitely my smallest little tiny thing that I have for eyeshadow. My best memory. I'm gonna go with a recent one just because it really shocked me, and it is the Gucci palette. I really wanted this palette because of the packaging. It looks so beautiful and stunning, and I wasn't going to get it because the reviews were not great, but my husband knew that I had been looking at it online, and he picked it up and put it in my stocking for Christmas. And honest to God, he never really gets me Christmas presents, like, because I tell him not to. Usually we just focus on the kids, and sometimes I'll buy like little stocking stuffers for both of us and fill the stocking, and that's it. And it was just so incredibly thoughtful of him to pick this up. So yeah, that was literally, I felt my heart go in my ass when I opened my stocking and saw this in there. I know that's a crazy thing to say, but it's the absolute truth. I was like in shock. So the next category is a palette that's worth the hype, and I went with, I gotta take her out of the case, the Melt Cosmetics Amor y Mariposa palette. I feel like this was a palette that came out and it was universally loved. Everybody loved this palette, and I agree. The shimmers and the mattes are absolutely stunning in here. Melt has a reputation of not having very good shimmer shadows, and so I feel like a lot of people that love Melt, they're like cult fans of Melt Cosmetics, buy all the palettes even though they're not fans of the shimmer. And this was a palette that gave us everything. It gave us the shimmers and it gave us the mattes, and on top of that, the packaging is absolutely stunning. So I feel like for the price too, it's a little bit of a pricier palette. I think it was like 70 bucks or something like that. It's worth it. You're actually getting good value in there. Like the shadows are actually really good. The packaging is quality. So for me personally, I feel like that palette was definitely worth the hype. A palette that was not worth the hype. This was hard for me because I actually do declutter things that I don't love. Like, I wanted to initially just say those little e.l.f. quads. I don't have them anymore, but like everybody and their mother loves those little e.l.f. quads because they're $3. But I don't like them. I feel like on my complexion, they did nothing for me. So I decluttered those right off the bat. But as I was going through my collection, just trying to see, I came across this palette, and I have to agree to a point that this is kind of in that category, is the Lethal Cosmetics After Dark palette. I feel like there is a cult following for Lethal Cosmetics, and the quality is not bad, but I don't think that it's good enough to like rave about it the way people do. The mattes are kind of, they're very pigmented, but they're kind of powdery, which doesn't really bother me that much. The part actually that I feel like I'm most critical about in here that I don't love is the shimmers. They feel very dry and they look dry. They're just not, yeah, they just look and feel dry. And I just feel like that is, even Colourpop, I mean, can have that problem, but also Colourpop can make shadows that don't have that problem for very affordable pricing. So I just feel like for the price tag, their shimmers are not all that. Like if this was an all matte palette, maybe I would like it a little bit more, but I just feel like I'm not the hugest fan of Lethal Cosmetics, so I haven't purchased another palette from them since this one. My favorite palette from my favorite brand, my favorite brand is Natasha Denona. I don't think that's a secret, and I feel like she also has a cult following, and I feel like it's for a good reason because her formulas are phenomenal and she gives everybody what they want. She has stuff for the neutral girls, for the everyday wearers, somebody for, you know, a glam night out. She has something for the colorful girl, like the girls who want color. And I love that about her brand. My favorite palette from her, I had to like really think about this one because I didn't want to go with the Zendo palette. I feel like that's my favorite palette for like everyday use, but like the one that gives me all the feels when I look at it is the Circo Loco. I know a lot of people don't love this palette because the colors confuse them, because it's just too much, too bold, or the arrangement. They have so many reasons, but personally speaking, I love this palette. I feel like you can take a neutral palette and use it in conjunction with this, or you can create a look with just this. I feel like it's so versatile. The shades are beautiful. The performance of the shadows is great. I love how fun it is. And so I went with this one. The Circo Loco is my favorite palette from my favorite brand. All right. And then the last category in this is your most used palette. And there are lots of palettes that get used more than others in my collection, of course, and there's also palettes that get used more than others, different periods, right? I go through phases, but one that I have used continuously over the years and still use is the ABH Subculture. I started the video with this palette and I'm ending it with this palette. I know it seems kind of boring, but this is my most used palette. I have used this over the years way more than other palettes. I've gone back to this palette multiple times. The only shade that I don't love in here, I just dropped the brush, is this one here. It's a dud, but I feel like that it doesn't even matter. Like that shade doesn't even matter. The rest of the palette is so good that I don't even care that that shade doesn't work. So yeah. That is it. That is my part one of my eyeshadow palette tag. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And until next time, love you guys. Bye.